Okay, welcome to another episode of the Reality Roundtable. I'm your host Jonathan Brown, and I have two special guests with me. Would y'all like to introduce yourselves?
Um, my name is Sierra Walker. I'm a USC student here,
My,
an
na-
old USC student here.
my name is Marquise Webb, and I'm a current senior here at the University of South Carolina.
And today's topic is why relationships don't work. Now, who would like to go first on this topic?
Since she out, no, we're gonna let the girl go first.
Ladies first.
That is the reason why relationships don't work. Do you see how they just tried to make me take on this whole topic? Okay, so that's how I want to start it.
Oh, Lord. She coming hard.
I don't know where she's going with this. So, I mean, I feel like relationships don't work because they're not based on reality. I feel like they're based on social media.
I feel like relationships don't work because there's no honesty. I mean, people are so used to, not lying and not being upfront, about their intentions. I think if everybody was honest, there'll be a better world. Keep it simple, keep it honest. But people want to play games and, take on different roles and have a guy to take them to get something to eat, have another guy to spend finances on them, have a guy to take them shopping. They got different categories for different guys,
I can agree with both of those statements. I personally feel like they don't work because people are more focused on a physical relationship than a mental relationship. If you don't know the person who you're actually trying to be intimate with, then it's not going to go anywhere.
I also feel like relationships don't work because people don't spend enough time, getting to know, doing their background research or getting to know a person. They can be in a relationship with one guy or one girl, and then a week later they're in another relationship with somebody else. So they don't allow themselves the necessary time to build the background, to educate themselves, like you said, to get to know to get to know that person. Like you said, they're going off physical appearances or financial stabilities or taken from somebody in order to build themselves up. And when they get what they want from you, then they leave, and go to the next person.
And like she said, relationships, I feel like she said that relationships are built off physical and not mental. I mean, somebody could look good, but they might not be good for you. That could be fool's gold for all you know.
Yeah.
That's very true. I mean, I'm all about fake gold because, I'm cheap. But
Yeah.
I also value, authentic, relationships and people who are just, genuine. This day and age, everything is backwards. We value things that we used to criticize.
And what do you mean by that?
The fast life, just I even in my title, it's on my Instagram page, it's instant gratification, because what I get from that is instant gratification, but that's not something that I value because it's fleeting. It's not real. You got this whole city girl trend, all of these different things that are kind of out there. Don't get me wrong, I love me some good city girls. The beats are hard, it's cool, but if you look at the overall message beyond just the physical of don't let no nigga play you, get your stats. Yeah. It's kind of I don't know, black women used to be held to a standard of obviously men have never appreciated us. And we're the most unappreciated race of women, period. We just always had this standard. If you look back at history books and stuff, the way they dress, the way they held themselves, the way they converse with each other is a lot different than how we do now. And the women, back in the day, someone like Erykah Badu, maybe not Erykah Badu, but what's my shorty name?
I don't know, but I love me some Erykah Badu.
No.
I love it. I love it.
I was gonna say Lauryn Hill. She was one of the most influential black women in her day, and now our most influential black woman is between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj.
Cardi's not even black.
Exactly.
I mean, I just think, when you're speaking about relationships, I mean, it's clear and simple. If your intentions are there, from the beginning, then nothing's going to work out. If you don't have communication, nothing's going to work out. And when you're speaking about gender roles, even when you do start to consider somebody or take them serious, they're always, it's a myth. They say guys have to do this and girls have to do that. I dated a girl for 5 years. The only girl that I dated, I'm 26, and we dated from 18 to 24. And the reason we worked out, for so long, we communicated, when we stayed together, you know, I was washing clothes, I was doing anything. You know, it's not really a set category. Like if you love somebody, you just gonna do it. You know, you're not gonna limit them to anything. Like I clean the house, she clean the dishes, she'll cut the grass or do whatever. You feel me? Like it's no selection or no limitations on what we would do.
So it was a partnership.
It was a partnership, exactly, and we communicated that from the beginning.
So you feel like relationships aren't like partnerships nowadays?
I mean, it's like you said, it's a business, but then it can be a partnership.
It is a business.
I think
A business.
I think that's
Relationships
something.
are definitely a business.
It's definitely a business.
What do you
Absolutely.
mean?
Because
Think about
a lot of girls won't even consider talking to a dude if he don't have money. You know, if he don't have money, they won't even waste their time. Like you said, they rather go for looks or. I mean, it's crazy because some girls can go for looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like a guy, like not being homophobic or whatever, but like they'll go for an attractive guy, and he could not have a job or be doing anything for himself, but they'll still go for him, or they'll go for the hood dude or the thug dude or whatever. But then you can have a guy who might not be as attractive, but he have things going for himself. So
I mean, and like you said, like relationships are a business. I can even prove that. Think about it. Would a woman even check for a dude who has no money and is not trying to improve his financial situation?
Well, that has something to do with like the status of that man beyond his financial abilities. If you don't have no goals, then what are you thinking about? On a
Exactly.
day-to-day
So
basis?
he's not trying to improve his financial situation.
It's not even like his financial situation. He's not trying to improve himself at all. Like you don't have to be like, oh, I want to be a billionaire, but like, baby, like you got some kind of goals, like you want to do
Yeah.
something, like
You got to bring something in, right?
It's not about like but mostly for yourself. Like not even for me. Like you gotta want better for you before I can even like want to be with you.
I mean, I think saying it's a business is just been like from a man's perspective, it's just been clear cut and honest. It's a different way because sometimes we think about certain things, but we might not label it as that terminology. But like if I meet a girl today, she might not say, "Oh, it's a business," or she might not ask me. It's certain ways you ask people, what they have going on in their lives. And like we both know it's a business, but we're not going to come out and say like, what do we look like saying, "Oh, it's a business." But in our minds, it's always going to be that regardless, because the next person is always wondering, "Oh, what do you bring to the table?" When you ask somebody what they're bringing to the table, that's basically that's a business. You feel me? Like everybody's concerned about what you bring to the table.
And another way it's a business. Think about it. You're investing your time in it. So that's you're making a business decision to invest your time. You don't want your time to be wasted. I mean, if the time's wasted, I mean, like the person you with, even though like it may not work out, that person could still be an asset because they taught you something. But like if it was just horrible, then they were a liability. So it's still a business. But what's another reason y'all think like relationships don't work?
I would say, like both people. I mean, if one person's, doing more than the other, they're holding up their end, but the other person's not holding up their end, and that can be, as far as mentality, physicality, financial goals, or somebody can be the breadwinner, the other person can not be the breadwinner. And I think a lot of, I could be wrong. But I think when a woman has like a man that she knows is going to bring in multiple incomes, they tend to relax a little bit, and that's why I think communication is a huge part. I mean, you gotta talk that amongst each other,
Well, I've recently been talking to a guy who's like kind of like on this whole like ideology of like, like when you finish school, like you should come down here, like just take like a couple of months off. And then in my head, that's like, because like I don't want to be like idle, and I don't want to assume the role of like being like conforming or getting like comfortable in like this kind of state, because I feel like I have my own purpose and that I'm supposed to do things. It's just hard like in this day and age to kind of figure out that balance between like letting a man be a man and like also going after like your goals.
So you're trying to get your paper on.
That's a good point.
What?
Trying to get your paper on.
Not necessarily like I don't feel like my purpose has a lot to do with like necessarily like finances. Like I believe that my God will bless me with money to do what I need to do.
Oh, you a winner.
I feel like-
You a winner. I wish most women was like that.
Oh, I only hang around winners, okay?
I don't know.
And like I said, don't get me wrong. That's why I said I could be wrong, I could be right. You do have independent women out here, and I respect that with the utmost. And you have other women in another category where, they're lazy, or they're worried about their image is looking good, and they always want to take from guys and build up themselves, and once they get enough, like I said before, they move on. Like, you gotta, regardless, like with or without that person, you gotta get your own money. That's just something you gotta do. So don't constantly be trying to feed off of, taking from me just because I'm a nice guy, and then you got another guy on the side where you spending my money on him. Like, it don't work like that.
I don't think most of these girls who taking your money spending it on them.
Oh, they ain't taking my money. I mean, I'm just speaking in general. I'm not that stupid.
You just say cash out?
Cash out. Like, I was saying that, like, she probably wasn't, like, taking that particular guy's money and spending it on another guy. She probably was taking both of their funding and spending it on herself. Or this image that she's trying to build and portray, like, she is this independent woman who's just bad, when really, in reality, she just uses men as a crutch to portray this.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to be spending my money like that. You're just not going to do it. You got to realize, like, my finances are on lock with me. I control everything that comes in.
I'm not
everything
even
that comes
comfortable
out.
accepting money from guys. Like, that's something that, like, I struggle with. Because, like, I grew up in, like, a low-income situation. And so, like, my mom, she would want us to, like, call, like, our dads, like, call, like, our aunts, like, different people and try to be like, yeah, like, ask them for this or ask them for that. And that's just something that, like, I know pride isn't something that you should have, but, like, that's just something that I'm very prideful on. And I'm very weird about it.
I mean, like you said, that actually leads into another reason. Like, another reason I feel like relationships don't work. Sometimes people don't know how to put the pride to the side.
That's true.
It's a good one.
It's hard because, like you said, it's a business, so you're, like, risking, like, a lot by just genuinely, like, letting down your guard or being, like, very, like, vulnerable with someone who can learn everything about you and then just, like, use it against you.
I mean, very true, but I don't know how other people think, but I have no shame. So.
I mean, I don't have shame. Like, I'm quick to tell someone about me, so, like, I might be an open book, but you can't read me, is what I like to say. So, like, I'm not ashamed to, like, tell my story because somewhere out there someone needs to hear it for them to help them along their path. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of someone going to tell, like, you can't listen to me talk and go tell my story. You get it? Like that. I'm not a fan of that.
So how do you think, we're talking about how relationships don't work. What are some things that you can say, how would you say relationships do work? Like,
I mean, honest communications. I mean, say, like, a dude would, like, ask a woman, like, what's wrong? And she'll be like, nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
You're like, what's wrong? Nothing. Okay, well then, dang. Like, I'm just not gonna ask.
I'm not gonna keep asking you.
Yeah.
And then when I stop asking, then you ask.
Yeah,
me.
you'll get mad.
You get mad, yeah.
Well, sometimes it's difficult to, like, kind of, like, convey, like, what you're feeling inside. Because, like, you also, like, you might be feeling this way, but sometimes it's like, do I have the right to even feel like this? Because sometimes in this generation, it's not like we're, like, boyfriend and girlfriend. We're talking. So it's like, what are the rules? Like, where is that, like, line?
Well, that's up to y'all to put a title on it.
Yeah. I feel like you shouldn't convey anything or any message to somebody who you don't feel like they're loyal or honest with you. Then you should put certain stipulations on, what you convey to them.
Yeah.
So, like, in terms of, like, communication, like, going back to what I said, like, if we do, like, we do ask them and then they don't tell us, and then we don't ask them no more, they'll be like, oh, you don't care. Like, how do I not care? Like, I just asked you. Like, I try to get to the root of the problem.
Wait, I've talked to this guy, and literally, I will try to tell him about, like, stuff, like, like, oh, like this or that. He's like, my nigga, like, how am I supposed to communicate with that? Like, yeah, like, and you're like, and then their response to that is, well, you said a lot. I didn't know, like, what to say back to it. You could have waited till I stopped talking and then just gave, like, or not said anything.
So it was basically like a dry response.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, you don't know how to take it when they do give you the reason. See, but they
Well, I was listening though.
I think,
See, and that's what they
think
say,
genuinely, even my grandmother, she told me when she dated my grandfather, she told me, like, I think they dated for like 35 years or something. She told me that dudes genuinely have a harder time expressing themselves or, having reactions. Well, just expressing themselves to women. Women are more mental and emotional, and guys are more physical. And, we're like, we just shut down. We tend to shut down, and that's something that you got to work on. I feel like if you like somebody, that's something you got to be open and willing. They can help you with that. Women help us with a lot of things, that we're in denial of, and you gotta be like, in order for a relationship to work, you gotta be willing to do whatever to go to the furthest extent. Like, I don't care what it is. You gotta be open. You gotta be open-minded. You can't be closed-minded. You gotta look at things from her perspective and your perspective, and y'all can get together. And that's why communication is the most important part of a relationship. Y'all gotta get together and decide, where do we go from here, or what rules are we going to set, that's going to be in place.
Another thing about the communication, I feel like, people don't listen. So, like, when you arguing, like, people only want to hear their side of things. They don't want to hear, like, what the other person's trying to say. And that creates a lot of conflict.
Or they only listen to respond. Like, you're only listening enough so you can say something back. Which is basically what you just said.
Yeah, basically. But,
I think a lot of people have a hard time, because you came into this world by yourself, and as you grow up, like, when you're younger, you don't really realize, the things you do or the standards that you have. I mean, I think it comes in, like, for me, it started to kick in when I was in about the 8th grade. I knew, I didn't want this kind of girl, or I was focused on getting to college or whatever. But I think it's hard when you get to a certain age and you have certain standards or rules that you put in place, and when you meet somebody that you really like, their morals or their rules don't align with yours, and, like, you might want to set a rule and they don't agree with it, and it's just kind of hard of losing certain rules that you want to set in order for somebody else to, you and somebody else to make it.
Yeah, it's like a balance that you have to, like, kind of find.
I mean, like, I also feel like another reason why, like, you said why they do work?
Yeah, why they do work, yeah.
Well, I guess, like, another reason why, like, relationships, I mean, like you said, like, communication basically, like, the main reason why they do work. And, like, if a person can, like, accept, like, genuine honesty, then it can work. Because, a lot of people can't, like, accept genuine honesty. Like, they'll come up to you, they'll be like, oh, just be honest with me. Then you do be honest with you, and then, like, they get, like, real mad because you be honest. And then I'm like, well, I could lie to you. Like, that could be arranged. So,
but, like, their reaction to your honesty is their honest reaction. So, like, just because, like, they don't like what you putting out there, like, that's their right to not like it. That just means that y'all just eliminated wasting each other's time.
That is true.
That's true.
I can't argue with that.
Because a lot of guys are afraid.
I don't even have a comeback for that.
I know. That's why we need a woman's point of view on this.
That, like, once you tell a girl that, hey, like, I just want to have sex, I just want to do that, like, she's gonna be like, nah, I don't want to, like, be, like, intimate with you. Or if a girl, she's like, yo, I just want you to take me out to eat every other day, but I don't really want to be in a relationship with you, you're less likely to be like, yeah, I'm down for that, but there are some guys and some girls who are down with both of those scenarios.
I think it just depends on a woman can say one thing, even for a guy, a woman can say, oh, I want to have sex with you, and then they can meet the next person and do exactly what they told you they wouldn't do with the next person. And like you said, that's because of physical attractions or more money. Like, it just depends on the woman and the dude that you're dealing with. Like, it's not always the same scenario.
People make it seem like you have to talk to someone forever to understand what you want from them. You literally figure it out.
You
like,
figure
instantly.
it out, yeah.
You know if you can see yourself with this person long term or short term.
I mean, well, in this generation, I guess, it is a little harder. Because, everybody's putting up a front. It's a lot easier to put up a front nowadays.
A lot of people, not everybody.
People do be
majority of the people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you'll know. I mean, it'll come a time when you'll meet somebody with a genuine soul, and you'll just vibe with them, and you'll just know. Like, once you got all these questions, like, when you meet somebody, you should never. I mean, you should have a lot of questions, but it shouldn't be something that's ongoing. Like, your answers, your questions should get answered within a few weeks. Like, it don't take that long.
Oh yeah, so another reason I feel like relationships do work because they continue to evolve. like people continue to evolve. Like when you're evolving, like that person also evolves with you. Like because you could be like going to a higher place and they're right with you. Like they're not staying stagnant
Yeah.
and holding you back or whatever.
Definitely. I also think it's important to like let go of like illusions or like holding on to old people when you're in the process of beginning to get to know
Yes.
someone new.
I mean, and then like
That's a good topic. That's a good point.
I mean, like another reason is because I feel like when it comes to relationships, like people who do like work out, they seek other people who do have relationships that work out, and like those other people can like give those people who like need the advice the proper advice. Because I feel like other people, like another reason like that it doesn't work out. I feel like some people go to like the wrong people.
Yeah, I do
Good
have
advice.
2 different sets of friends. Like one of my girls, like I'll be like, I was so frustrated because like I'm so crazy. So I was literally like, man, like da da da, like not understanding that like people are in different time zones or like your
Yeah.
bodies have to adjust. So I'm just like frustrated, like what's going on, And she's like, he could be asleep.
Yeah.
Then my other friend's like, oh girl, he got another girl. Like you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's 2 different. Like this one friend though, she has a consistent relationship that she's in, versus the other friend who also has like men problems.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. Like, well, one reason why I feel like things don't work. Women keep going to their single friends for advice, man.
Yeah.
That's true.
I just think they don't rely on their self intuition, or they rely on other people. In this generation, they rely on other people for in order for them to make a decision that they already could have did by themselves. And 9 times out of 10, you already, like I said, you came in this world by yourself. Like you're used to making decisions on your own.
But when you also feel like you're not like, when you feel like your decisions that you make could be a little biased on
Yeah.
your past history or like, how you dealt with other people, you kind of want to seek out a
Yeah.
little like advice to kind of balance it out, just to kind of see if like, am I crazy or like.
Yeah,
your
but you
own
need
spot.
advice from the right people.
But
That's why I don't want women going to their single friends for advice.
Yeah.
Now it's different when a dude goes to his single friends for advice.
Like,
It is very
how?
different because
That's
we come from a more rational place. Like he's like your friend, like your guy friend's gonna actually to his other guy friend. He's actually gonna give him like genuine advice that's gonna like try to.
I
help.
agree. Like I don't like that's like if I came to Jonathan about a girl, regardless if he knows the girl, like if he does know the girl, regardless if he like her or not, like not saying like her, but
No, I understand.
think we're a good fit. He's gonna give me his real honest opinion, regardless of how he, if he like her or not. That has nothing to do with it.
Well, I'm not friend. Like, I have been a coach in this game for a little minute now. Like, I haven't played since, like, 2014. And honestly, I'm just saying that, like, but that's just me and me personally. Like, I'm very, like, I try to give everyone, like, a fair shot. Like, I don't jump off of, like, generalizations of people
Yeah.
or, like, I try to take in like what my friend might be doing to make it this way, or like also guys are a little like you guys don't think the same way we do, which is something that you were saying as far as like when you go to him for advice, like he's not all emotional about it. So like you guys lack that response. So like one of my homegirls was like, she had drove all the way down to go meet this guy, and basically when she got there she was like, make sure you're at home because I'm about to pull up. He was like, well, hurry up because I have somewhere else to go. And she was like, what? Like, you could have told me that when you knew I was, like, sitting in traffic waiting to come. But to her, it was like, oh, he's just, like, inconsiderate. And I was like, girl, he probably forgot that he had to go here, too. Until you were like, make sure you're at home. You gave him that stipulation. Then he realized that he can't be there very long.
Again, communication is key.
Yeah, communication really is.
I
key.
think one thing I could take out of my 5-year relationship, communication, willingness and being open. And I think the number one thing is kind of underrated, but being able to adapt. If you can adapt in any situation with somebody else, and you're carrying their energy and your energy, and y'all changing environments, y'all moving state to state, or y'all switching, going from job to job, and y'all might go broke in the process, because y'all don't have y'all degrees, or y'all not as financially stable as y'all want to be. But that's when you actually, once you're broke and you're going through those inner phases and inner changes, that's the person that you can be with for the rest of your life when they're dealing with you, when y'all going through the same struggle as y'all are trying to come up, and that's why adaptability is one of the most important things to me. A lot of people like that,
I agree.
Oh, okay. Like, what do you think is another reason why they do succeed? Either one of you two.
Trust. I believe that you have to like have trust in the other person. Like that goes a very long way.
Why they do succeed or why they don't succeed?
When
Why
they
they
do
do.
succeed, like if you have trust like in your spouse, like say you're out, say like you just disappeared all day, and like if I trust you, then I know that you wouldn't do
That's-
anything to jeopardize our relationship.
Exactly.
So those ideas would be immediately eliminated.
Yeah.
Well, if you want that, get you a black man, because black men don't
Black
cheat.
man don't cheat.
That's right, black men don't cheat, baby. Faithful-
Most of us.
No, all of us. All of us.
I mean,
okay?
like I said earlier,
all of us.
I mean, I can't be a hypocrite. I gotta stand by what I said earlier.
All
You know,
of us.
You gotta look
okay?
at. You gotta.
Faithful Black Men Association.
I'm not speaking for myself, but when people listen to this podcast, I want them to know that I'm coming from a woman's perspective and a guy's perspective. So you can have a woman listen to this podcast. Oh, he only speaking from a man's perspective. I want them to know I'm gonna be equal. It's equality over here. So
Like I said, black men don't cheat. So if you want a loyal one, get you a black man.
but you got the statistics and you got the facts. Everybody.
Oh, you go Charlamagne the God's page.
I don't think it's really. I don't really
Those
think it's.
statistics said 0% black men.
It just depends
don't
on the
cheat.
person. It just
Exactly.
depends on the
I
person.
was talking to someone for a long duration of time, and I found out that they were living, cohabitating with another person that they had known since they were younger.
See, our group wasn't formed by then. Okay, since our group's been formed, we don't
Okay.
cheat. Okay. Yeah, I
I mean,
don't.
Homecoming, they had came down here too.
Homecoming.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, like, the group was formed by then. So I'm pretty sure that what you're saying is inaccurate.
Oh, he didn't cheat. I know for sure he didn't cheat.
How?
He's a black man.
Okay.
We just don't do that. It's not in our nature. We trying to change the narrative on this, okay?
Listen, I'm not gonna, like,
We're changing the narrative.
negatively talk about black men because I obviously love black men. I did, like, when I first got into the dating scene, I was dating a Romanian man. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that
Okay.
relationship was different because he was more, like, his friends were black. Like, he was into more of the black narrative.
Yeah.
Which now, being more culturally aware, I do look at it a little different than I would have before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I'm more culturally sensitive to like implications and like how other people perceive us and how they benefit off of the things that we are criticized about. So I wouldn't necessarily date someone else of the other culture because I don't view myself as compatible with them anymore.
I think that another reason relationships don't work, I mean, even when you get in a relationship, like, people don't plan enough. Like, people don't want to do things. They get too comfortable, and
swear.
they get too comfortable, and, like, you always have that one that's energetic, or always, hey, babe, let's do this, let's do that, and then the next person is lazy. That's why I can't be with a lazy person. I want somebody that, not necessarily works out every day, but I want somebody that works out. They got a little job.
You
They
can actually do fun things with.
yeah, you could do fun things, and they're energetic and they want to actually do things with you. People get bored too quick in relationships, and you gotta spice it up. You gotta be willing to plan.
Most
You gotta
definitely.
keep doing what you've been doing for day one. Like, you gotta treat a girl. In order to keep her, you gotta treat her how the same way that you were trying to get her before you knew her. You gotta treat her that same way we should get her.
I mean, you might be still trying to do that, but like you said, that person might have got comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah.
Like I said earlier.
Or she might have been messing with somebody else.
Oh my goodness. I agree with the whole like treating her the same way as when you first got her because that's who she knows basically. So like for you to switch it up means that you weren't being authentic from the jump.
Yeah.
But I also am a fan of nap dates. So I feel like there has to be some kind of balance. Like I feel like we can nap together and we can go out in the city.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what I said. Like, it has to evolve.
Yeah.
Like, if it's evolving, then people aren't getting comfortable.
Adaptability.
I mean, well, you do want to get comfortable in a relationship because
To
you
a
want to
certain
be,
extent, yeah.
because you do want to be like able to talk to them about anything.
Or like poop with them sitting in the room. No, I think it would be weird. Okay, I would be okay with
What?
pooping and someone else being there, but I wouldn't necessarily want to smell their poop. Like, I'm the type.
I don't know where this came from.
I'm saying like comfortability, like adapting. Like I'm saying like that's important as well.
What happens in a marriage? I get it.
Yeah, bonding is important in a relationship to keep it healthy.
I guess if you say so.
I mean, you want to be comfortable enough where you can go to that person's house and go to sleep and not worry about anything happening. I mean, at that level of comfortability.
You should not be talking to somebody that you gotta worry about closing
I mean,
your eyes
you'd be
around.
surprised. You got some people they go over to they partner's house and they gotta look over their shoulders and they leave their phone laying around and the person going in their phone and now
See,
you.
that's different. Like, that's a different level of comfortability. That's just like you lack
Yeah.
that trust. But if I'm like over your house and I'm worried about if your homeboy about to come in here or if you're gonna let something happen to me like while I'm here, then I don't need to talk to you. Period.
Yeah. I mean, you got some girls like that. I mean, I know some girls, they've been in relationships and certain things that happened in their past, like they might have got raped or
Yeah, definitely.
guys touched them or something like that. And even when they get in a relationship with a guy, you know, no matter how secure or comfortable they are, they're still going to be aware, you know, or things in their past is going to haunt them, or they're going to treat you. Girls treat you a certain. Like my ex, some things happened to her in the past, and she took it out on me, and I never knew about it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't find about it to 3 years down the line. I'm like, whoa, you know, I think that's something that you should have told me. You know, now I got all these questions. Well, why you changing 3 years down the line? And that was something that, you know, came back to haunt us. You know?
I mean, like you said, like another reason why they do work is because they were able to heal from their past relationships.
Exactly.
Before getting
Amen.
into
Preach,
it.
brother.
Preach. I mean, well, you know,
Woo!
I probably could do a sermon or two,
But that goes.
I do it all.
I mean, that goes along with what I said earlier. You know, allowing the proper time before you enter a new relationship. You gotta allow yourself time to heal. You know,
Definitely.
like,
Or sorry.
yeah.
Or just being upfront about like the stuff that you're struggling with that person, because before you get in a relationship you're going to be talking to that person anyways, like kind of building up to the point to where you are
Mhm.
yoking together.
And I think that's the most attractive thing to me is when I'm in the process of getting to know someone, you know, I ask them what's their strength, what are their weaknesses, you know, so I know up front, okay, this is what I got to deal with. Okay, how can I help her better, you know, like work on this that she's not as good at, but I might be amazing at this, you know, or what's something that I'm not good at and she's great at, but she can help me. You know, like if you're showing that interest or the effort to help me at something that I'm weak at, you know, then that shows me a lot. You know.
I mean, I guess yeah, you're right. But like I said, like in my last episode, you said you're gonna like get to talk and know somebody. I mean, they may consider you a friend then. You don't want to get stuck in the friend zone.
Well, I think it's you have to be very clear with your intentions
Yes,
when you
sir.
first meet someone. Like, hey, like, yeah, I want to get to know you, but I'm interested in you on another level. I just want to make sure that we're compatible. Of course, you don't have to say it like that, but like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that same person has to show interest in you then too.
Well, they'll let you know, because
They'll
like
let
there are
you know, yeah.
guys that I've told I am not interested, and they're like still persistent. And at some point, it makes it hard to even be their friend because
Be
it's
your
like,
friend, yeah.
Fellas, there's other women out there. You ain't gotta keep going for the same one. I'm trying to tell you.
that's true. It's very true. I
And
think
then
you should know your worth.
I
as a
think
man
I
as
think
well.
that's a tricky topic because you also have some women, you know, that they might not be as interested in you at the time, but they might be like, okay, he's a good guy, but they might like somebody who's persistent, and just because that guy is persistent, you know, over time, I'm like, hey, let me give this guy a shot. I don't really like him like that, but he got some qualities that I can work with, and me knowing that the kind of girl I am, you know, I can work with some, you know, I know that everything's not going to be perfect, so let me try to build this guy up or see what he's about, you know.
While all that is true, yeah, that couldn't be me, man. I'm sorry. I mean, you know, time is of the essence. I'm not wasting time with nobody. Like, I'm not gonna keep pursuing you, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you tell me no, I'm gonna take a no, and I'm gonna keep it pushing.
I think it really just depends on how much you can really see yourself with that person. Like, if you really think that she's the one, then you put in that time. But I mean, you gotta weigh that out.
Some guys, though, they literally will like be like so persistent and saying all these things about you, and they ain't never met you a day in your life.
They never
so
met
it's
you,
like
yeah.
unattractive to me for you to be
Social
over here
media,
like, yeah,
friends,
you're
DMs.
in love with the idea of me, not me. That's weird.
I've never heard that before.
I heard it.
For
You've
real.
heard that before?
I'm 26, baby. Come on, man.
Oh, so you didn't see it all?
Nah, I ain't seen it all, but I heard a little something. Them social media friends a trip, ain't it?
They are.
like I said, social media plays a huge role because I feel like some people, they are in relationships for social media.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like I feel like some people need social media validation. Oh, put me in your bio. Post pictures of us,
I'm not saying like, okay, so like if you naturally wanted to post a picture of me, like of course I'd be like, oh, like like I'm gonna like it, like I'm gonna feel like some kind of validation from that. But I would never ask you to do something like that because I want you to do what you want to do, so I can see what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
That's that
exactly. And
I mean, like I said, and then like on social media with they'll always be like, oh, relationship goals when like a celebrity couple comes out. I feel like you're setting a bad precedent for your next relationship because you don't know what they be going through behind closed doors.
Exactly. And I think a lot of women like that, mostly women on social media, they see relationships and they're like, oh, relationship goals, but they're not even they don't even have the standards, to start with. To start with, like you out here messing with 4 or 5 guys, but you expecting to find a king. You can't do that unless you give. That's what happened with me and my girlfriend. Like I was talking to 2 girls, but I wasn't taking them serious. They knew I wasn't taking them serious, and I seen her, so I'm like, shit. I'm like, man,
okay.
like, yeah. But we weren't on social media. Like we was in high school, and I was talking to 2 girls. I weren't taking them serious, and they knew that, and there was one girl, which happened to be her. I stopped talking to them because I'm like, okay, if I want to get her, I got to give her my undivided attention. I got to really,
But you were upfront with her though, right?
Upfront with her, yeah, and that's how.
So you can't be mad if somebody's upfront with you.
And that's how we ended up working out.
Like another reason I feel like people don't set standards nowadays, man.
That's true.
So
you can't be out here messing with multiple guys and see somebody on social media and be like, oh, I want a relationship like that, but you ain't even doing what it takes to get that. You got to put that work in. You got to find God. If you want, you got to dress apart. You got to do things. Like you got to make guys, be attracted to you for the right reasons. Like people go for people for the wrong reasons, for what they see and not for what they believe in.
I also think. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you know.
Oh, I think a lot of people don't know themselves when they're entering relationships or looking for other people. So you might think you want that, but clearly you don't want that. Like you want something different. So I think it all has a lot to do with us, like figuring out who we are before we try to.
I mean, you gotta go through a few relationships before you figure out. You're gonna go through some tough ones. You're gonna go through some good ones that just didn't work.
They teach you a lesson.
But I think for the most part, when you're reaching a certain age, you do know who you are, to a certain extent, and I think some people they're in denial or they try to put that stuff behind them. Like, I might know who I am, but I might see a girl and be like, oh, dang, she fine, you feel me? Like, but I know what kind of dude I am, but I'm not going to tell her that, and I might just go after her. And I feel like that's what some people do. Like, people still know who they are. They just tend to put it in the blur, for temporary feelings or temporary emotions or temporary attractions.
Because you know that you want a woman who's serious and has all these goals and aspirations, but yet you're chasing after the wrong kind of woman.
Like, I tell people every day, like, the girl that I dated for 5 years, I even told Jonathan this. Didn't I tell you this?
He tells me everything.
The girl, my grandmother is Christian. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. But I still take advice from my grandmother. And basically, like when I saw her, I never thought, right here on the Bible, I got baptized last summer. So whether you want to believe me or not, when I saw her, I never thought that she was ugly. I never thought that she was attractive or she was fine. Something God was just saying, that's the one, and later on, 5 years down the line, I finally realized what God meant by, that's the one. It wasn't the one that I was going to end up marrying or spending the rest of my life with, but that was the one that was going to break me out of my family cycle. And she was actually the reason that I went to college. She said, if you don't have goals, if you don't have plans, a woman don't want you. So I think it was like 3 months before we graduated, she got accepted into NCCU. And she asked me, she pulled me out the library. She was like, what do you have planned? Like, are you going to college? Like, do you have plans for yourself? And I had already gave up. Like, I knew I was graduating high school, but I didn't have plans. I was good at basketball. I still didn't have any plans. She was like, well, I'm not going to be with you if you don't. And from that moment on, like, I knew, I was like, dang, I could spend the rest of my life with this woman right here just because she want me to achieve, my dreams and my goals, and she ain't even in love with me yet. She only likes me, you know. So imagine what she'll do when she loves me.
The right partner can work wonders. I'm trying to tell you.
I think the great thing about all of that is that she wanted better for you, but not for her benefit.
Yeah, exactly. And we were both broke. I ain't gonna lie to you. We were, you know how I grind. You know how I grind this. I work 90 hours a week, but we was both broke back then. We was broke, and she came from the. She came from the same background that I came from, both first generation college students. And I used to think, like, we used to talk about, like, out of all these people in our family, how we the only one out of thousands, the only one to ever go to college, like. And once we understood that we were both trying to accomplish the same goal, we were gonna be headed down the same path. You know, we're like, okay, we can do this. You know, like, you motivate me and I'm motivating you. That's what it's about. She ain't like me because of how I look. I ain't like her because of how she looked. But when we fell in love with each other, I was like, dang, man, you fine as hell, you know. And that's what love do, man. The person looks more appealing.
So she made you want to be a better you.
Exactly.
So she upped your game.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
And that's why I'm here today, even though we didn't work out. You know, even when we broke up, like, you know, I ain't gonna say, you know, who was to blame for it, but I use her as fuel every day, and that's why I got this far. I still use her as fuel every day. You know, I use the same thing that got me started that's gonna get me to the end. You know.
You don't have nothing to add to that?
And I mean, that's why I think relationships should be like today. You know, like. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't want nobody that's ugly, but at the same time, I mean, whoever God got meant for you, it's going to be regardless of what you do or what you don't do. Like, even if you're doing the right thing, I mean, you're going to run through a couple assholes. You're going to run through a couple good women. But the person you might end up with is somebody that you never thought you might end up with. And that happens for a lot of people.
Anyways, I really think what you said was beautiful. I commend that. Even in the Bible, it talks about, like, the person that you're supposed to be with. It's not going to be someone based on looks, like the appeal. It's not saying that they're going to be ugly. It's not saying that you're not going to be attracted to them, but it's going to be something else. Like when they were going through all of the kids, like trying to figure out like which one was chosen, like literally it was David, but like at first they were like it was this guy, and like because the first dude was big and bold, they were like it has to be him, and they were so convinced, and that's just how it is with a lot of us. Like we're so convinced that it's this guy based on these attributes, but in reality he doesn't lack that emotional or that like what you need inside to help you heal or finish that process that you've already began to help you move to the next
it's
level.
always the least expected.
Definitely.
That's why I try not to. I mean, I'm gonna be real. We on the podcast. I'm gonna be real. Yes, even when I was in a relationship, I tell my girl, I look at other girls, but I don't disrespect you. You know, I would never cheat on you. You know, so like to this day, like I look at people like, oh, she cute, and keep it moving. You know, but if we don't connect on a mental level, or if I don't personally know you, you know, like then it's nothing to, you know, it's nothing to proceed on. It's nothing to talk about really. Like.
Lord knows I need to connect with somebody on a mental level. Golly, I'm telling you, like for real, like I need something to talk about with you, like. Yeah. If we're constantly like trying to have a conversation, like and it's dead all the time,
it's dead, yeah.
Like I feel like we're wasting time then.
Well, maybe have you tried like actually calling the person?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And even in that aspect, I mean, you could get somebody that's really boring, and like I said, you can be willing to work with them in that. It might be hard, you know, it's gonna be extremely hard. But what's a relationship without challenges?
Oh yeah, like I'll be willing to work. Like, I'll try to, like, put you on, like, some of the stuff that, you know, I'm doing to help stimulate my mind.
Because if you really like somebody, you're going to be willing to, like I said, go to the extremes. Like,
yeah.
I don't care what you, if you really like that person or you really could see something in them. Like, my ex used to tell me all the time, oh, I see this in y'all. But I had already gave up hope. I was like, I don't see nothing in myself. Nobody in my family ain't go to college. Nobody in my family ain't do nothing. So what the hell you see in me? Like, that I don't see in myself. And she didn't tell me. She showed me. She's like, well, we're going to do this. You're going to watch years from now.
That's another reason relationships work. Because your actions spoke louder than your words in a positive way.
How you said that, like, God was like, this is the one, but it was for a different reason.
A different reason.
Like
it took me 5 years.
Have been brought into my life, not for me to be with them romantically, but for me to help them get closer to Him or help them get closer to their purpose. And sometimes it gets a little diluted because, like, I'm not, like, the worst looking girl, so, like, sometimes I feel like my physical attributes can, like, make people be attracted to me, and then they're not able to let that go to be
Yeah.
able to see the real purpose that I'm supposed to serve.
I mean,
in
I
their
think
life.
physical attraction is. I don't care. Like, I'm one of the best dudes in the world, but like, physical attraction is always something that you're going to see 1st. You know, before I don't care. Like, that's what you see. That's a person. But you can't let that. Like you said, you can't let that. Like steer you in the wrong direction of like, okay, well she fine, that's all. I just want her. I want to have sex with her. You got to be willing to. Okay, she fine. Okay, cool.
We don't even like the same things, though.
Like, yeah, physical attraction, like that's just the initial part.
The
of
initial
it.
part, yeah.
But you got to be able to connect with something because you're always gonna find somebody that you're physically attracted to.
Yeah.
But not everybody can connect with you like on a mental level, spiritual level.
And like you can be like not in the same room with them, and then like you can kind of like feel it. Like that's what I'm trying to get. Like well, that's that's what I appreciate. Not what I'm trying to get. That's what I appreciate. We're good.
All right, well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us, and I'll be back with another episode soon. Thank you.